I know you're probably very, very busy right now, so thank you again for taking the time.
No
Um,
problem.
so in a few days, we are going to be getting into your physical release.
Yeah,
This is going to be work that your fans are going to be able to hold in their hands.
yeah.
Honestly, how are you feeling? Are you feeling good? You feeling excited? A little nervous?
I do feel excited, yeah, because like this project has been going for a long time now, over a decade, and this is the first big physical release, the first like proper one, and I myself am looking forward to having a miracle of sound object that I can hold in my hands, that's it, and put on my shelf and feel proud of it. And yeah, and I'm excited for the fans to get that too because they have been nagging me to do this for years. And I always just I don't know what my aversion to it was, apart from that it just seemed like an awful lot of work that I wasn't cut out to do. So that's why finding the lovely folks at Napalm was like really good because they were able to manage all of that side of it for me, the practical side, the printing, finding an amazing artist to work with and all of that stuff. So like they obviously did a great job on it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty excited. Yeah.
That's awesome. You said
Yeah.
your fans have been nagging you. What's like the
Yeah.
main way that you've like been communicating with fans through this process?
So like most artists nowadays, my work is very much based in social media, like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all that stuff. And it's just been one of the most frequent questions I've had all over the years. When are you going to do a CD or a record? And my response has always been when it's the right time. Um, Similar to my approach with touring, it's always kind of been when it's the right time.
hmm Well, I'm glad we finally got to the right time.
Yeah, me too. And I'm really happy with this. Like, I always have worries with stuff like this, and will it look the way I want, and will it sound the way I want? And we got a really, really good remaster done for the vinyl by my mix guy Frank, and he did a great job. And the artwork is just, I said this in my promotional posts, but I actually mean it. I love the artwork so much,
Yes,
you know.
it's stunning, honestly.
Yeah, I wanted to avoid any kind of metal cliches like fire and skulls and things like that. I wanted something that felt beautiful and elegant, but also powerful at the same time. And I think Peter did an amazing job at capturing that feeling.
I think so too,
Mhm.
definitely.
Mhm.
So to go back kind of for people who might not know you so well,
Yeah.
um, what got you first interested in music? Like what's inspired you to start composing on your own and basically building up to this monumental moment?
So probably the first thing was like being 6 years old and like jumping around the room with a tennis racket, pretending it was a guitar, uh, listening to Guns N' Roses and wanting to be Slash. So, and then
Nice. I feel
discovering
like a lot of people got that start too.
exactly, yeah, and then discovering Iron Maiden, and everything changed when I discovered Iron Maiden. It was like, wow, this is my soul music. And then when I was 15, I was given a gift of a secondhand Spanish guitar by a friend of my mom's. And from that moment, I picked it up and played it at 15 years old. There was nothing else. There was never going to be any other path for me. I knew the minute I could play my first chords of a song, I was like, this is it. This is what I'm going to do,
Oh,
you know?
wow.
Yeah. And I was like, so determined that I went through like an entire decade of failure before. I mean, I'm 44, and Miracle of Sound project started when I was like just turning into my 30s and stuff. So I went through a whole decade with not so much success, but I was so determined that I was like, someday I'm going to do this.
Wow, I love it.
Yeah.
That's
Every
awesome.
every failure is a stepping stone if you're lucky.
Yes, definitely. You just have to keep pushing, keep trying.
Yeah, exactly.
Were you uh were you ever a part of other groups or other bands throughout this time?
Absolutely, yeah. I was my in my first band, I joined them pretty much only like a few months after I started playing guitar. A friend of mine from school brought me into their band, and we played like 90s indie rock. So very different to Miracle of Sound. But there are
Definitely.
still some leftovers in some of the songs from that, I feel, like a song like London Town. I don't know if you've heard that one, but that very much has a 90s Brit rock kind of feel to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, but then through my 20s, I was in another band called Lotus Lullaby, which was my project. And I produced and wrote all the songs for that project. And we signed with a record label, won a bunch of competitions in Ireland. And of course, the old cliche, that was when it all fell apart.
Oh,
And unfortunately, the album that I spent a year making just never came out. It just ended up sitting on a hard drive. And I was obviously very upset and depressed about this. So I started writing like some stupid video game songs to cheer myself up about video game characters, like as a joke,
yeah.
put them on the internet, and people really responded to it. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe let's try this a few more times and see. And it just started to naturally grow over time. And there was a couple of songs that did pretty well at the start, but it was in 2014 when The Witcher 3 was on the way, and I made the song "Wake the White Wolf," and that is when the YouTube channel really blew up to a point where I'm like, oh, this is a career now. This is a sustainable career now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Sorry, I go on tangents, so you can stop
No,
me
you're perfectly
if I
fine.
talk too much.
I really do love the idea of like video games being kind of an influence for you.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
play a
because
lot of video games myself, and I feel
nice.
like there's certain games where you're just like while you're playing, you're just like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, there's music in the background, but I don't care. But then there's other games where it's just like as you're playing, you hear the
Mm.
music and it just kind of pulls you deeper into the game. So
Yeah, and it can really be such an immersive experience. And if it's a good soundtrack with, like, for me, this might sound strange, but for me, when composing, visuals are very important as well. Like a lot of the time for me, I'm trying to make the musical equivalent of what I think I'm seeing, if that makes any sense.
yeah, no, definitely. Yeah.
And I will often hear colors in music. So if I'm like if I want a song to describe a certain color that's in a game or a show or a book or whatever, I'll try and make the music sound like that color. And that might the success of that might differ from person to person because I don't know if everyone has the same interpretations of these things, but that's kind of a little bit how I work as well. And like my music is very panoramic, it's very big, it's very overstated. There's not a whole lot of subtlety in my music. And that's just what I enjoy making. Very big, cinematic kind of stuff.
Nice. I love that.
Um, yeah.
So
And
for you,
oh, sorry.
what you're good. You can go.
Oh, I was just going to ask what favorite game you had.
Oh gosh. So I'm a very difficult person. I cannot pick out like a favorite. So
Oh,
like
I'm
music genre, movies, games, all that.
I think that's normal.
Yeah. Right now though, I'm playing like a lot of well, I'm playing Valheim right now.
Oh, I've heard that's great. Yeah, I've heard really
Yes.
good things about that. Yeah.
That game and then like 7 Days to Die because they just re-released or they just released it now.
Mm,
So like a lot of survival games I just play with a bunch
right,
of my friends and all, and
right.
they definitely have more creativity than I do because in
Yeah,
Valheim we're in like a big castle and it's
yeah,
like every time I join the game my friends are just like, "Hey, we redesigned everything again." And it's just like these elaborate stone castles and
yeah, yeah,
towers. Um and then it's funny too because I'll just go explore around and like pick mushrooms and stuff, but like the whole
yeah,
time I'm like cranking the music up in my ears because I love the
yeah,
music
yeah.
that they're playing there.
Yeah,
So
but that's like a valid experience with video games, I think, to just do the relaxing parts.
Yeah, somebody's got to make the food for battles.
Yeah, exactly. Like I will sometimes jump into Elder Scrolls Online and just spend an hour wandering around and picking flowers, you know?
I haven't gotten to Elder Scrolls yet. I need to get into that one. My one friend's been bugging me about that.
It's nice. I play it alone. Like I'm a very anti-social gamer. The gaming for me is my alone time that I get to be by myself and chill, you know. So I will literally play
Nice.
Elder Scrolls Online by myself, and I prefer it that way, you know.
Yeah. I used to do that too, and then I started getting into the horror games. And then I very quickly learned I need to be playing with people,
Yeah,
otherwise I'm gonna get way too
you get
scared.
scared. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I'm just like in my little dark room and I'm just like, I'm so terrified. I just need someone to
Yeah,
talk to.
yeah, of course.
Um, speaking of tangents,
Yeah, that was a
uh,
tangent.
yes. So I wanted to quickly ask, so for you, what is kind of sort of your creative process? I know you kind of talked about that a little bit, but
Yeah.
how do you go from your initial like aha, I have a little idea. How do you go from there all the way to the final product? And like for you, I'm kind of perfectionist with my work, so like I'm
Mm,
never I feel like I can never get to that it's done point until somebody says like, hey, that's it. It's got to go out, like we're done. How do you
yeah.
get to that point where you're just like, this is it, this is my masterpiece, this is what I want?
So okay, so I'll address the first part first, but
Okay.
you have to remind me to address the second part after about
Okay.
when is it done? Because that's obviously a big question. In terms of methodology and creative systems, I don't really have one. I'm really chaotic, like super chaotic. I would love to be able to work in a way that is less stressful and more systematic and that makes more sense. But unfortunately, yeah, no, the only way I can work is in complete chaos. So I might have a chorus of a song over here written and a verse over here for a different song. And I might have other ideas floating through my head all the times. And then I might be composing a different song. Usually, I find the best songs are the ones where the chorus comes to you by accident. And Valhalla Calling was actually one of those moments. I was in the shower after I had played Assassin's Creed Valhalla, just kind of humming away to myself. And I literally just hummed away to myself, oh, Valhalla calling me. And I was like, I think I have something here. And it turned out I had something there. So funny enough, writing the rest of that song was super easy. I mean, Nordic mythology is just it's such a rich, beautiful mythology that was there's so much to pull from. So I just sat down and wrote the whole song in half an hour.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, it was really easy and surprisingly, but actually recording and creating that song took many hours. I would guess about 60 to 70 hours to
Oh
create the
wow.
recording and the production because it's a very maximalist piece. Because it's funny because Valhalla Calling in terms of songwriting and musically, it's actually a very rudimentary piece of music. I think it's very simple. And the verse only has like three notes that go up and down, and the chorus is a very simple hook. But in terms of the production, it's very complicated. There's a lot of different layers of drums and percussion and music, like synthesizers, believe it or not, and so many vocal layers. There's like I think like over 30 vocal layers in the original folk version, and when it gets into the metal versions, then you're just adding more stuff on top of all that as well. So poor Frank, my mix guy, like his Pro Tools was crashing trying to mix this
Oh
song. You know?
no.
Yeah,
Oh goodness.
yeah. So in terms of getting a song finished, uh, absolute nightmare. And I'm sure a lot of creators can relate to this because, especially for me, because I used to mix my own music for many years. I only found Frank kind of 2019, late 2019. So I was mixing and mastering all the Miracle of Sound stuff myself before that. So I know how hard it is and what a challenge it is. There have even been moments where I've released a song, realized something was wrong with the mix, deleted the song from the internet and re-uploaded it again a couple of days later. Like that's how neurotic I am about getting stuff finished and right. But as you probably know, and as every other artist knows, it's never finished. You just have to get it to a point where you're somewhat comfortable letting it go out into the world and live, you know. I
Hmm.
listen to Valhalla Calling now, and I think I would have done this differently. I would have done that differently. Yeah, and any at most there's it's very rare that I'll hear one of my songs and not wish that I tweaked something or changed something. And actually, the remasters album that we put out earlier this year, like just digital only, that was actually done because I was so uncomfortable with many of my old mixes, my own ones, that I got Frank to remaster them and make them sound much better because he's much better at that stuff than I am. So
I bet it was a breath of fresh air when you brought him on too, because you're just like, yay, I don't have to work on that
yeah,
end of everything now.
absolutely. And it's not the first time I've had that feeling because when I found Frank and he took away the mixing side of things, it freed up about 60% of my work time because mixing and mastering was by far the biggest part of my workflow. Because I find I've written so much now that it's still a challenge to me, but I have gotten used to it, I suppose. But mixing is it's so difficult to learn, and it's really an underappreciated art. I think like most of people's favorite albums sound so good because of the mix engineer, you know. And I think a lot of people don't realize how important the mix engineer is to why you love your favorite albums, you know. Yeah, sorry, I'm on another tangent now, but
No,
yeah,
you're perfectly okay.
it's very hard to let a song go and decide that it's finished. And actually, it was really nice getting these vinyl remasters because then you're hearing the songs in a whole new light. Because obviously, if you master a song for vinyl the way we do it for digital, the record will fall apart. Physical media is not designed, analog media is not designed for loud masters. So the masters on this vinyl they're a little bit more dynamic than the digital versions, and they're as a result, to me, I find that really nice alternative version to listen to. You know,
Yeah, definitely. Because isn't it like, depending on how you play the song, it always sounds different. So like if you have headphones on, it's going to sound one way. If you play it through
yeah,
speakers, play it through the vinyl, or then you hear it in a concert
exactly.
hall, it's
Yeah,
always like it's the same song, but it's always just a different song.
yeah, and
That's
it's also very much I suppose, an emotional challenge for musicians these days and mix engineers, knowing that we're spending like tens and tens of hours getting this perfect, and most people are just going to listen to it on a phone speaker.
true. Like while they're in the shower too, so it's
Yeah,
already diluted with the shower
with the
sounds.
TV on in the background, and like
Yeah.
you're only going to hear a 20-second clip on TikTok, you know.
Oh my
But
goodness.
that's the life. That is the life, and I'm very fortunate in that over the last decade, I have cultivated a very passionate fan base, and I sometimes test their patience because I will put out sometimes like 8.5 minute songs, and I'm like, it's almost like a challenge. It's like, let's see if you can get through this one, and they do. Even this year, the song "Purest Gold," which was a collaboration with Elizabeth from the Charismatic Voice. She did some beautiful opera vocals on that song, but it's a 7.5 minute prog metal song, and I was curious as to whether my fan base would last the whole 7.5 minutes of this, you
Yeah.
know. But they did, and they loved it, and I was really, really happy with that. And I think that means you did something right with the composition. Hopefully, you know that it didn't get boring over that length of time.
So the tour's coming up soon,
Yeah,
and I'm sure your fans are going crazy getting ready for this.
they're excited.
How are you feeling? Like how's rehearsals going? Do you feel like everything's lining up well? You excited? You nervous? A little bit of both? A mixture of like 18 different emotions at one time?
Yeah, you just described it perfectly. It's a mix of excited and absolutely terrified.
I bet.
I haven't done this in like 12 years, so it's very just scary. But we did do a little private warm-up show last week, just for like friends and family. It was a very small show, just 200 people. And I think that helped me a lot to regain my confidence and realize, yeah, I can still do this. It's fine. And my voice held up well, which I was worried about. Um, and I am going to be going to Germany in December with the band Feuerschwanz to sing live with them, to do a song with them for their fans, and I think that will also help to build a little confidence for me going into next year. But we've a really good set list, and I think the fans are going to be happy. It's basically, I don't know if it counts as a greatest hit set or whatever, but it is. It's mostly based on the songs that I know the fans like the most, you know.
Mhm.
Um, and here's the thing though, I've got over 200 songs, so you there's no way everyone's going to get their favorite song, you know.
You'll be on stage for like 8 hours and you're just like, I'm gonna test your loyalty
Yeah,
and patience.
I'm not sure my 12 years as a solely recording artist would have the vocal stamina for anything more than like an hour and a half.
I know like some artists what they'll do is I had an interview with Unleash the Archers, the main singer,
Mm,
and she told me
great
what
band.
she would do is
Mm,
like kind of exercise and sing while she's
mm.
exercising. And
I've heard that before, yeah.
yeah, I started laughing though because it was just like I can't even run, let alone try to run
Yeah,
and sing. And it's not like
yeah,
she's singing like to herself, like she's singing like out loud. I was just like,
yeah,
I can't even run.
yeah. I think it, yeah, and like everything, when we started jamming back in January, I think it was, I was actually quite worried because my vocal stamina was really bad, and I was getting through maybe 5 or 6 songs and then starting to get kind of tired. I was like, this isn't good. I need to work on this, you know. And gradually through the year, as we made the set longer and longer, I've just found that, I mean, it's become much easier. And like, who would have thought practicing something makes you better at it, you know?
Who would have known?
Because being exclusively a recording artist means that you can do things at your own pace, you can take a break, you can do a line over and over again till you get it right. I'm not a huge fan of vocal tuning. I don't really like the sound of it. So I will be usually inclined to do a line over and over until I get it right. And then, which usually means a vocal take, you might not get the song done in one day. You know,
Yeah.
you might spend 3 hours on one verse and then you're like, that's good enough for today, but let's try it again tomorrow. Whereas with live shows, you get one chance and you got to nail it, you know? And it's very intimidating and very scary because I'm not used to that. And I did, of course, have the worry. It's like, oh, my voice isn't going to be good enough, and people are going to say, oh, you know, he obviously, you know, does these effects in the studio to make his voice better and stuff. And I was really happy that we got through the show the other night and my voice sounded good. So yeah, that was a big relief. You know,
Awesome.
I've
That's
never been a very,
exciting.
I've never been a confident singer. I'm very confident in my songwriting. I'm very confident in my production and arrangements, but I'm not a confident singer.
Mm. I think the fans will be very excited to hear you sing.
Yeah, I hope so. And, yeah, it's no secret I've had a mixed relationship with the song Valhalla Calling. I have mixed feelings about it. But I have a feeling that going out to my fans and hearing them sing that song to me and singing it with them, I think that will help me to love that song again, you know.
Definitely, that would be an amazing moment. So obviously you're very, very busy with the physical release and then the tour coming up, but we have to ask, any plans afterwards? Any future projects you're already thinking of or maybe imagining in the shower, coming up with a few lines
Absolutely.
or two?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm kind of a little bit known at the moment for like the dude who wrote the Viking song. But I'm Irish, and there's a lot of stuff that I want to explore in like Celtic mythology, Irish history, and stuff. That's really, and this has been a passion project I've wanted to do for years. And now that um, the kind of chance has come along, that's kind of my next project now. It'll be an album very much based in Irish music and Irish mythology and Irish history and all of that good stuff. And it's going to be a very dark, kind of mournful folk metal album. The way I'm planning it to sound would be like, I suppose, imagine a cross between like Wardruna and Heilung and that kind of style,
Okay.
but with a very morose metal element behind it, and also with a much more Celtic Irish feel rather than Nordic. Yeah, so I can't wait to make this. It's going to be really my dream project. And also, I have a collaboration with Ali the Piper coming out very soon, which is a remake of one of my old songs. And she's done some amazing bagpipes on that. And hopefully, there's going to be a song for a big video game coming in early in the new year, but we'll see how that goes. Yeah, so there. I'm always planning a million projects.
That's awesome. Can we know what video game or is it still hush hush?
I'm under like a really strict NDA, so
Okay.
and
Sounds
this may or
good.
may not happen, so I don't want to get people excited if it's not going to happen, you know?
True.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I will definitely be doing some kind of video game stuff to keep the old fans happy as well, because a lot of people come to me for video game related music, and I haven't done any in a while. And this whole next project will have nothing to do with that. So I know some
Yeah.
people will be kind of like, when are you going to make us a nerdy song again? I was like, they'll come. I promise. The nerd is always in there somewhere, you know?
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to sit down and talk with me. Before
Thank
we
you.
go, is there
Yeah.
anything you'd like to say to your fans real fast?
Just thank you so much for sticking with me this year and for sticking with me for the last decade. And I'm really glad that I can finally give you guys what you've been asking me for and have a record. And trust me, I'm going to be just as excited to get it in the post as you are.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you so much. I'm very excited too. So,
Good. Nice.
yeah, hopefully we'll be seeing you guys soon and
Yeah.
hopefully you'll see me like down in the photo pits just with a big camera in
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
face.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, we'll have to look into the States at some point if we can. We'll see how things go. All of the
Definitely.
touring next year is an experiment, and I might love it or I might find it really a challenge. So I will make promises when I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of fan base out here in the States though. So if you do ever get
Yeah.
over here, I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah. I think.